Tonight, Venezuela's President Nicolás Maduro has issued a sweeping order to mobilize more than 4 million civilian militia members across the country, a move that has sent shockwaves through the nation and beyond. Maduro claims this unprecedented mobilization is a direct response to what he describes as mounting threats from the United States, vowing to defend every inch of Venezuelan territory from foreign interference. This bold action marks a dramatic escalation in the already tense standoff between Caracas and Washington, raising fears of a broader conflict in the region. Maduro is urging workers, peasants, and even students to join the ranks, promising to arm and train them for the defense of the nation, and portraying this as a patriotic duty in the face of external threats. The government frames this mass mobilization as a powerful show of unity and resistance, insisting that U.S. pressure is not just a political dispute, but an attack on the Venezuelan people themselves. By calling millions to arms, Maduro hopes to rally support, strengthen his grip on power, and send a clear message to the world that Venezuela will not back down in the face of foreign threats. But critics warn that arming so many civilians could further destabilize the country, fueling unrest and increasing the risk of violence in an already volatile situation. The international community is watching with growing concern as Venezuela's political and economic crisis deepens and the risk of regional instability rises. For ordinary Venezuelans, this latest development adds yet another layer of uncertainty and anxiety to daily life, as they struggle with shortages, inflation, and now the specter of militarization. Still, the government insists that mobilizing the militia is a necessary step to protect Venezuela's sovereignty and independence in these turbulent times. As tensions rise, the entire region now faces a tense and unpredictable future, with the world watching to see what happens next in Venezuela. The U.S.-Venezuela conflict dates back to Hugo Chávez's rise in 1999, when he became the president of Venezuela. Chávez's anti-U.S. rhetoric and socialist policies quickly put him at odds with Washington. One of his most controversial moves was the nationalization of Venezuela's vast oil reserves, which angered the U.S. government and sparked decades of tension between the two nations. Over the years, the U.S. has repeatedly questioned the integrity of Venezuela's elections and, in response, has imposed a series of harsh economic sanctions, aiming to force President Nicolás Maduro from power. Caracas, in turn, calls these sanctions a form of economic warfare, blaming them for the country's severe economic crisis and widespread shortages. The U.S. has thrown its support behind opposition leader Juan Guaidó, recognizing him as the legitimate president of Venezuela, while Maduro relies heavily on the support of the military and international allies like Russia and China to maintain his grip on power. Both sides accuse each other of undermining democracy and violating national sovereignty, leading to a deepening of hostilities. This long history of distrust, coupled with ongoing sanctions, has only served to harden positions on both sides. Every new move by either country is seen as part of a larger, ongoing struggle for control and influence. As a result, diplomatic resolution remains elusive, and the hostility between the U.S. and Venezuela continues to deepen. The latest flashpoint is a major U.S. naval deployment near Venezuela's coast. 3 guided missile destroyers and thousands of U.S. personnel are conducting a counter-narcotics mission. Washington accuses Maduro's government of running a drug smuggling network. Venezuela sees the U.S. presence as a direct threat and a pretext for intervention. Both militaries have increased patrols, raising the risk of confrontation. The Caribbean has become a stage for military posturing and brinkmanship. Tensions are high and the risk of escalation is real. At the heart of Maduro's response is the Bolivarian Militia, a civilian force created by Hugo Chávez. Chávez envisioned a people in arms to defend the revolution from foreign threats. The militia, claimed to be millions strong, receives basic training and supports the regular military. It serves as both a deterrent and a tool for political control, embedding loyalists throughout society. Critics argue it blurs the line between state security and party politics, and fear it's used to suppress dissent. Despite controversy, the militia remains central to Venezuela's defense strategy. Its existence complicates any potential conflict or intervention. The United States has formally indicted Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro and several of his top officials, accusing them of narco-terrorism and corruption on a massive scale. In a dramatic move, the US government announced a staggering $50 million reward for information leading to Maduro's arrest, signaling just how seriously they view these allegations. The charges have sent shockwaves through diplomatic circles and raised tensions between the two countries to new heights. Maduro's government has fiercely rejected the accusations, dismissing them as baseless propaganda designed to justify what they see as ongoing US aggression and interference in Venezuela's internal affairs. Officials insist the charges are politically motivated and part of a broader campaign to undermine their sovereignty. According to Maduro's allies, Washington's true objective is not justice, but control over Venezuela's vast oil reserves and the removal of its socialist government. They point to a long history of US involvement in the region as evidence of ulterior motives. Meanwhile, Mexico and other influential regional powers have voiced skepticism about the US claims. Rather than supporting confrontation, they advocate for dialogue, negotiation, and peaceful solutions to the crisis, hoping to avoid further instability in Latin America. With US warships patrolling nearby waters and Venezuelan militias mobilizing in response, the risk of a dangerous miscalculation or unintended clash is higher than ever before, raising fears of a wider conflict. The tense standoff could spiral into open confrontation or, with careful diplomacy, eventually cool down. But for now, the danger remains very real and the world is watching anxiously. The fate of Venezuela and the stability of the entire region now hang in the balance as ordinary citizens brace for what comes next. Around the globe, journalists, governments, and millions of people watch closely as this high-stakes political drama continues to unfold, uncertain of what the future will bring.